Morning, morning, morning. What's going on, everyone? Happy Saturday. Welcome to the Big Tune Chat with myself and Joe, the Burnley fan, talking about tomorrow's game, Burnley versus Newcastle, a massive game for both teams now that we know that Fulham sort of slipped up again last night, which was great to see. Joe, what did you think of the Burnley result? The Fulham result, first of all?
Yeah, I was made up. I was watching it in here because I was working. So I think I've said it to you before. I work at this little station thing behind me, and behind this computer now that I'm streaming on, I've got a TV. So I was watching it, and it was 0-0. I finished my shift at 9:30 last night, and I watched it for another 5-10 minutes, and it was like 83rd minute, and it was 0-0. I thought it's gonna be 0-0. I'll take 6 points. 6 points. Obviously, that's the gap for us. I'll take 6 points. I went downstairs, started watching Gogglebox, come through on my phone. Traore 90+2. I'm like, get in there, stood up and everything. And in front room and shit. And Mrs. were like, what's happened? What's happened? I'm like, oh, just football. It's just football. But yeah, I was buzzing with that. Very, very buzzing. But I don't know. I can't see them catching us now, if I'm going to be honest. Could be famous last words, and this will get clipped up and shared around the world if we end up going down now. But they just look so out of form now, the Fulham. They've had that resurgence, but they've fallen off a cliff again now. I'd be very surprised if they catch any of us. I think we'll... Obviously, it's only 3 points for you, the gap, isn't it? So it's just one game, theoretically, for you, whereas for us, it's 3 games. And are they going to get a positive result in 3 games when they've only got 7 games left? But in the form that they're in, I'm not so sure. So, I think the last 2 results, Fulham's results for us, have been absolutely brilliant. Yeah,
I think they've lost the last 4 as well in the next 2 games as Arsenal, Chelsea, and then obviously we've got 2 games in hand on them. So... I think our fate is in our hands at the minute. I think when you look at the next 2 that we've got, I think it's Burnley, then Liverpool, I think, is the next game. I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. Morning, Doug. I'm just running through comments. Morning, Annie, the Bristol City fan. He'll be looking forward to today's game against Forest, I think it is. Big game for them. And Stephen, who you were chatting with the other day. Morning, Stephen.
Yeah, morning, Stephen.
So it's good to have you back on, first and foremost. Obviously, a bit of a bad result last week against Southampton. What happened? 2-0 up. What happened?
It was just so unlike Burnley. Like Burnley, and I think I said it to you on your channel before. I think I've said it to Stephen on his channel. The first goal in a Burnley game tends to be like ridiculously important. Like if we score the first goal, 9 times out of 10, as a Burnley fan, you're thinking, right, got this in the bag. Especially if we score in the second half, chances are you aren't going to break us down. Sometimes we can score too early, but when you go 2-0 up and you're playing so well as we were against Southampton in that first 20-25 minutes, I was thinking, well, we're home and dry here, Premier League next season, happy days. And then for some reason, we were just shocking at the back. We let them have too much time on the ball. We let them have too much space. The midfield wasn't creating the second barrier because it was too high up, which is just not like us. And then Ben Mee were making uncharacteristic mistakes. To say uncharacteristic, he's got it in him 2 or 3 times a season, but he's a good defender and he doesn't do it often. He's not James Tarkowski quality, which has been a debate on the Burnley channels before. But I think we've seen recently why Ben Mee has never even been considered in the England squad, whereas obviously Tarkowski has, and he should still be in the England squad for me. James Tarkowski is better than some of the defenders that are in there, but that's a different debate. But we were just poor at the back, and that's just not like us. So hopefully we can just go back to what we are at the weekend, get the 1 goal, 70th minute, and then just sit back and say, right, you break us down.
Yeah, I think it is going to be a bit of a scrappy game. 2 teams scrapping for survival, and I think, given the Fulham result as well, I think the confidence will be high in both teams at the minute. I think knowing that Fulham got beat again, there's sort of an opportunity there to grab more points in more games. So, Newcastle fan looking in, I think we played the right sort of game, the right tactics, and the right squad for a change against Spurs, and we ground out a 2-2 draw, which was good. A good pressing game, good attacking game, which I thought we played really well in. I thought we deserved 3 points, given the amount of chances that we had. I think we had 22 shots on goal. So I think if we play the same way against Burnley, given that Burnley are quite a strong, tall defence, it will be tough to break down, but I think we might just have too much. But that's my personal opinion. And I'm hoping for 3 points in Newcastle because we could really do with them. I think obviously you're a little bit in front of us, so I think we need the points more than you. But at the same time, I can understand that you're your opinion about that.
I think it's a bigger game for you than it is for us, but obviously it's still a massive game for us. If we win tomorrow, we are definitely 100% safe. Obviously not mathematically, but that means Fulham would have to win 4 games in the last 7. And like I said, when you look at the form that they're in, that's just not going to happen, is it? So, I think for us, we win tomorrow, we're safe. For you win tomorrow, then you are 80% of the way there, and obviously that'll give you a massive confidence boost. But yeah, you can go into this game with your tails up after a decent result against Tottenham, but on the other side of it, you boys have been a little bit inconsistent. You'll dig out a decent result, and then sometimes people start thinking, "Oh mate, finally Steve Bruce, he's not being that much of an idiot anymore. He's finally listening to us. He's finally not playing for a draw." And then he'll come to Burnley and play for a draw, and you'll get beat 3-0. It's just something ridiculous like that. It's just Steve Bruce all over. So. It's a massive game for us both, obviously, and I think we can be 100% safe if we win, and you can take massive strides towards being safe if you win. So there's like a massive incentive for both of us, really.
Yeah, I think you are right with the inconsistency. I mean, one good performance, and then we sort of expect another good performance straight after that, and we never normally get it. We get a really, really bad performance, and then no, Steve Bruce will go there looking for a draw, which I really, really hope he doesn't, because to us, it is the biggest game of the season. Now it is our chance to pull away from that sort of relegation zone. And he's just mentioned that after Chelsea and Arsenal, Fulham have got Burnley. So that'll be a bit of a game for you lot, won't it?
Yeah, that's why we have obviously kept a massive eye on Fulham's results, because obviously if they'd have beat Villa and then beat Wolves last night, they'd have been 1 point away from us. And to be fair, he could have easily won both of them games. They were 1-0 up against Villa. And then Wolves have been poor recently, so they could have easily won that one. And then obviously it's down to 1 point, then they've got us in a little bit. And if we continue to slip up like we did against Southampton, then they go above us with that win. So that's why it's massive for us that Fulham have stayed down there. And hopefully they lose the next 2 games against Chelsea and Arsenal, and then they're going to go into that Burnley game with zero confidence. And they've been quite poor at home, and it is at Fulham. They have been quite poor at home. And we've already won once this season. Yeah, exactly. We've already won once this season. We absolutely annihilated them in the FA Cup, and we played our B-side. Having said that, they did as well. But we can take some confidence in that, and confidence in the fact that their home form has been poor. But yeah, hopefully that game won't matter, because we'll get a couple of results between now and then. Because I think if we get a couple of even a win and a draw, or even just a win, I think, like I said, we are home and dry, and Fulham aren't going to get 11 points in the next 7 games.
Yeah, I think that given what came out yesterday, I think Eric Peters is back for Burnley as well. So that's a massive boost for you as well, because I know that listening to you the other day with Steve, I think that was one of the things that you wanted, wasn't it? I think Eric Peters wants to be back. I think
the main turning point in that Southampton game, all right, it was already 2-1. It wasn't 2-0 at the time, is when Eric Peters went off. Now, don't get me wrong, Charlie Taylor is a better left-back than Eric Peters. He's got more quality. He's better at going forward. He's better at defending. But I think at the minute, Charlie Taylor's been playing with knock, and I think he has been doing for a while. Whereas Eric Peters, he's just no nonsense. He's a bit like Phil Bardsley, just hard as nails, will get stuck in and don't really care. Don't really have much quality on the ball and don't really get forward, but he's solid enough. And when Charlie Taylor's playing me knock and he's holding back or whatever's happening with Charlie, I'd rather have Eric in there. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with Eric being there tomorrow. It will take a little bit of attacking impetus away from us. But like I said, Charlie Taylor's playing me knock anyway, so would that have even been there with Charlie Taylor? But when Charlie Taylor's on song and he's bombing forward, he's absolutely class. And I would have him every single day of the week above Eric Peters. But like I said, while he's playing me a knock, then yeah, Peters solid enough. It's a bit like Bardo, like I said on the right. When Lawton's injured, Bardo comes in, does a job. Don't get forward as much, but it's just as solid. So it'll do a job for us. We'll probably have to put all his attacking sort of like thoughts down the right hand side, which that's fine by us, because Dwight McNeil and Goodmanson can swap around, and then we'll have Lawton, who's been fantastic this season. So yeah, it is a boost for us. Yeah.
Yeah. Just given obviously the Newcastle injury news yesterday that came out with Lascelles maybe having like a stress fracture of the foot. So I think that's sort of good news for the fans, because not many fans rate him at all. And we're hoping for Clark to get back into the team, and maybe Fernandez as well, and maybe get Kraft out of the team, because Kraft is a waste of space. He's an absolute nightmare of a player to watch. He's got mistakes everywhere, all over the pitch. I mean, if you've seen the Spurs game, the first goal, I mean, God knows what he was thinking there. He should have just hoofed it into the stands, but he obviously didn't. So I'm hoping that maybe Manquillo comes back in, Clark, anybody but Kraft, because we just know that you'll just annihilate him again, and he's just a sort of player that we just don't like watching personally. I just don't like him. I just want him out the Newcastle team, full stop. But yeah, going forward, I hope he starts with a 4-3-3 and really, really puts the pressure on. Stephen mentioned that he celebrated the Traore winner last night as if Newcastle had scored in the 92nd minute. I personally didn't watch the game. I went out for a walk because I thought, I'm not going to sit and watch a Fulham again because I'll be biting my nails and everything like that. And I thought, nah, I'm going to go out for a walk instead. Paul J has mentioned inconsistent NUSA. It's been like that for 50 years. Yeah, that's fair enough. That's a good comment. I'll give him that. And he said, to be fair to Fulham, they haven't got the players as Newcastle and Burnley. Parker's done well to keep Fulham in touch so far. I think the start of the season, Fulham, they didn't get off to the best of starts, but then slowly but surely they started clawing their way back into it, haven't they?
Yeah, like I said, they had that resurgence. And you say they haven't got the players like Newcastle and Burnley have. They spent a lot of money. They spent so much money over the last 3 years. That's their own problem that they don't have good enough players. That Scott Parker's and previous managers have messed up there. They should have better players, especially than Burnley, because we've not spent anything for the last 3 years. It's just a few million quid here and there. So that's their own problem. Fulham, should have a good squad with the amount of money that they spent, but they're just not. And I'm not. Again, everyone seems to sort of like say that Scott Parker's done an all right job. He's done a better job in the last few weeks than he did in the first part of the season. But again, with the money that they're spending, they should have a better squad than that and be playing better than that. So he is still quite young for a manager. He's Scott Parker, so I think he'll get better, and he has showed signs of decent management. But yeah, I think Fulham should be, with the money that they've spent, not even in the relegation battle, because they came up a few years ago, didn't they? A couple of years ago, and spent like 120 million quid, and then Villa came up the year after and spent 150 million. It's just ludicrous amounts of money for a Burnley fan. So they should have a good squad for the money that they've spent. So that's their own problem. Yeah,
I've always said there's a couple of yo-yo teams in football at the minute. I think Fulham and Norwich, I think they're up and down all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, West Brom are another one as well.
West Brom, yeah. They always seem to
West Brom seem to have been a yo-yo side for 10 years. So we were a yo-yo side for a little bit, but then eventually you level out and you finally stay up like we have for the last 4, hopefully 5 years. But West Brom, it's just when we first got promoted in 2009, they got relegated that season. They went up the season after. They've been doing it for years, West Brom. They need to get a grip.
Yeah. Paul says 1:30. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, I will be on with you. Paul J. Kraft, Henrik, and Joe Linton are pure crap. Jeff Henrik. The Jeff Henrik bonanza as the Newcastle Burnley game is. Joe Linton, I mean, that's a different subject altogether, but he is right with Kraft and Henrik. I really, really wish that we hadn't signed him.
I was buzzing when you signed Hendrick. I was when he decided he wanted to let his contract. We had the same issues as Newcastle. He goes missing in games. He's clear. Yeah. He'll have 1 or 2 good games a season, and unfortunately for you guys, his only good game of the season were against West Ham on the opening day. And I remember a West Ham fan were texting me at that point, saying, "Why have you let him go? He's absolutely class." And I said to him, "I said he's not, mate. He has 1 or 2 good games a season. He will fizzle out, and he's been absolutely dreadful for you. He was dreadful for us. He came in, and when he were actually our record signing when we first bought him." And he came in and did all right. And then, like I said, he's just the same issues. I don't know what it is. If he's got old, he's lost pace, or he's lost like just that half of the game or whatever. But yeah, he's just so many games. He's just a pedestrian. You're carrying an extra player because he's neither here nor there. He does nothing. When he gets on the ball, he slows it down. I always remember once a game against Watford, we were counter-attacking. And it were like 0-0, like 85th minute. And we were counter-attacking, and there were, I can't remember who it were. I think it was Robbie Brady who passed it to Jeff Hendrick. It was like 3 against 1. And Hendrick puts his foot on the ball, and he just went ridiculous, so slow that one of the Watford midfielders who were miles away manages to get back and tackle him. And I just remember going, "Fuck hell, Jeff Hendrick, you're fucking." And all people, I sit at family stand, so I get a lot of angry looks when I do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's honestly, he's just never changed. He's just so poor. He's just pedestrian, like I say, and he goes missing. He's got the quality when he wants to, but I don't think he ever wants to. And even then, I'm not even sure he does have the quality anymore, to be fair. I think maybe I'm just going off old performances there. If you just look at some of the goals he scored for Burnley in the past, he scored some absolute screamers. But it was just a case of it do nothing all game, then it'd fall to him 40 yards out, bang, top corner, nothing all game again. And it was just bizarre, whereas now he don't even do that. So I'm not really sure what he brings to any side, really. But I'll say the same as I said to Stephen the other day, that you signed him on a free and you still got robbed.
Yeah, I mean, he's had one good game for us, well, maybe 1.5. The first game of the season against West Ham, and then the Southampton game when we were down to 9 men, he defended, which was really good to see. But other than that, he hasn't done much. And then I was shocked to see that he was linked with Man United at the start of the season as well, which I thought, wow.
AC Milan. That must have been agent talk. AC Milan wanted Jeff Hendrick. Could you imagine?
Yeah. I wish he had buggered off to AC Milan, to be honest with you. But, I mean, he didn't even get in the squad for the Spurs game, which was good to see. But I just hope that Steve Bruce doesn't put him in against Burnley, because I know, obviously, Jeff Hendrick with the Burnley past and things. And I just, God knows what Steve...
the sort of like game that Bruce wants to play. I think if he's going to come for a draw and he wants to defend, Hendrick will be in there. If he wants to go and attack Burnley, he'll be on the bench, or, like you say, not even in the squad.
Yeah, I just hope that Sean Longstaff or Joe Willock comes in, because Sean Longstaff I thought was great to see back on the pitch against Spurs. Joe Willock came on and got a goal against Spurs. Obviously, Arsenal player as well, which I thought was a big bonus for him, because I thought he enjoyed that more than anyone. But apart from Joe Linton, I think Joe Linton had his best game for Newcastle against Spurs. I think he was absolutely world class. He held the ball up, he was strong, and he got his deserved goal, which was good to see. So Joe Linton is an up and down player as well. He can have good games, he can have bad games, but it just depends if he's got a player alongside him, because that's what he likes to do. He likes to play as a two, not just as a sole striker. Any the Bristol City fan says, I'll take being a yo-yo side. Well, you've got to get up there first. You can't just be lying in 14th in the Championship. You've got to be in the Premier League.
Well, I know. I always thought Bristol City, when they first got that new stadium and stuff, I remember thinking, they'll probably come up soon. It never seems to materialise, hasn't it? And now, like you say, they just seem to be miles away from it.
Yeah. Stephen, it was Henrik who put Newcastle in bother getting himself sent off against Southampton. My mistake, Stephen. Yes, that is correct. I must be thinking of a different game, but thanks for putting us right on that one. But yeah, just going into the Burnley game, getting back on track, Joe. If you look at the league, this is the current form at the minute. I mean, Newcastle 4 draws, 2 defeats. Burnley 3 draws, 2 defeats, 1 victory. It's just too tight to call who'll finish 15th, 16th, and 17th, really, when you look at it, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of inconsistency in there. Like you say, you've got Brighton, who won 2 games in a row. I think one of them was at Liverpool. I mean, we've all done that. One of them was at Liverpool, and then they beat Southampton down at Southampton. And then they've just lost 3 in a row since. Fulham's form is just falling off an absolute cliff. So I'm not really sure what's happened there. But West Brom, they're gone, so we can forget about them. And obviously Sheffield United have been gone since Christmas, so we can forget about them. You don't seem to be winning games. Obviously, a good draw at the weekend, to be fair, but you don't seem to be winning games. So I think for me, like I say, I'm confident. I'm always confident of playing a team that isn't inside the top 6 at home. We have a very good record against teams outside the top 6 at home. So I'm confident we can get the win at the weekend, and then you can start cropping us out of these sort of pitches, hopefully. Brighton, I don't get what it is with Brighton. Everybody seems to always rave about Brighton. And I say everybody, and it's mainly bookies and media outlets rather than actual fans. Because of this XG that everyone seems to love these days, this new expected goal stat, because Brighton's is always like 5.8 a game, but yet they'll only score 1. That's a bad thing. It's not a good thing. Whereas we'll have 0.02 and we'll score 3 goals. Everyone's like, they didn't deserve to win. It's like, well, we did. We're just more clinical. I think again, though, Brighton will have enough to stay up, though, based on that. I do think it's between you and Fulham. However, like I said, I think with Fulham's form, I think all us 3, Newcastle, Brighton, Burnley, and even the likes of Wolves and Palace, who have pulled away a bit now, and Southampton, of course. I just think we've been very lucky that there's been 3 horrendous teams in the Premier League this season. And I do think the bottom 3, as is now, will go down. And like you say, Fulham they're on 32 games played. So I think it's pretty much good night for them. I think they've got a few tough games, as one of your people in the chat was saying. I think it was the Robbins talk. But they have got some winnable games in there. Obviously, they're playing us, they're playing you on the final day of the season. But they've got some tough games as well. And I think their chance to pull away from it was the last few games. And unfortunately for them, their form has been horrendous the last few games. So who knows? But yeah, I think it is between you and Fulham. But again, like I say, I think it is Fulham that's going to go. I think you will pull away probably before the final day of the season. But if it is down to the final day of the season, unless you boys get ridiculously nervous and suddenly forget how to play football, or Steve Bruce tries to play for a draw. If you can only avoid defeat and you'll stay up, then that could go wrong. But I think if it was a straight shootout between you and Fulham, you've got the better squad, so you should end up surviving on that basis. Obviously, it doesn't always work out like that. I'm aware of that, but I honestly don't think it will come down to that final game of the season. Now, I do think you'll be safe before then.
Yeah, just looking, obviously, your goals scored as well. Obviously, you've only scored 24 but conceded 40. That's the same amount of goals scored as Fulham have this season. I mean, does that worry you a bit?
Not particularly, because of how good our defence is usually. It's something that has worried me. If you'd have asked me 6 to 8 weeks ago, I'd have been said, yeah, it's not good enough. But recently, we have started scoring more goals, so that stat actually looks better than what it did 6. Scored 2 against Southampton. We'll forget the result. Scored 2 at Everton. But recently, we have started scoring goals. And in our last 2 games, so we scored 4 goals in our last 2 games. So which is better than how it was at the start of the season. But at the start of the season, we were diabolical. The problem is, Chris Wood is our main striker, and he's a good striker at that. We have the debates on the Burnley channels all the time because Chris Wood's one of them players who he doesn't get the ball at his feet and sprint and take players on. He's just a type of player that will not edit in from 6 yards out, but he's clinical. This season he hasn't been. That's a problem. He's missed a few sitters that he normally would bury. So I think that's the reason why we've not scored as many games this season because of Chris Wood's form. But recently he has found form. He got a goal against Southampton. He got a goal against Everton and Vidra as well. I've never really rated him too much. I do think he's a good Championship striker rather than a Premier League striker. But recently, him and Woody tend to be a decent partnership. And like I said, they're both scoring goals at the minute. So if anything, in recent games, it's the defence that's been worrying me rather than the other way around. But we just need to find that balance. But obviously, I'll take a standard Burnley 1-0 win at the weekend right now with Chris Wood scoring off his arse or whatever. So, but yeah, recently we've started scoring goals, but it's the defence that's been the issue.
Yeah, obviously just on the Newcastle side as well, we've got Sam Maximin back, and I think Wilson's going to be fit, but I don't think he's going to start, and I don't think ASM's going to start either. So I'm hoping to keep maybe the same team, but obviously the defence is going to have to be shuffled around, I think. Obviously, Lascelles is going to come out, and then maybe Clark's going to have to come in, even though he gave some bad comments about Steve Bruce a few weeks ago. Probably that's why he was left out against Spurs. And I think Kraft for Fernandes, if he is fit. If not, then get maybe Manquillo in and maybe try and shuffle it around a bit. We need Ritchie and Murphy to start as well, because they were absolutely amazing against Spurs. They whipped in crosses. They were up and down the wing all the time. So it gives us some good attacking options. Shelby's got the armband, which is unfortunate because he's not a captain at all. If I was anyone, I would give it to Matt Ritchie because of the way that he performed against Spurs. He was kicking every ball, even though he didn't have the ball, which was brilliant. He's just a natural leader, and he came out after the game and he says basically that's the sort of team, the sort of player that they want to play, and then they want to go to Burnley and play that way. So hopefully, with a bit of luck, we'll maybe grind out a win with Joe Linton starting up front again. But I can't see Dwight Gale starting for some reason. I think maybe he's going to get pulled for some reason or other. But we'll just wait and see. I'm going to go for 2-0 Newcastle personally. I think we'll just maybe have too much. If we do play the way we did against Spurs, then I just think 3 points will be better off in Newcastle's pocket than they will in Burnley's. And then that'll make 15th, 16th, and 17th even more interesting going into the last 6 or 7 games, won't it?
Yeah, I think it's one of them though, isn't it? I think you do have more players that can hurt an opposition side than we do. I think we've got Dwight McNeil, and that's pretty much it. Like you say, you've got ASM, you've got Wilson, you've got Fraser. I don't know if Fraser's injured or what at the minute. He was always injured back in the day at Bournemouth as well. But you've got better players and a better squad. But we tend to turn these sort of games into battles, and then it works in our favour. That's how we beat Liverpool at Liverpool. It's how we beat Arsenal at Arsenal. You know, it's how we are where we are for the last 4 years. So fingers crossed we can do that. And to be fair, Steve Bruce tends to do that himself rather than other teams having to do it for him half of the time. So fingers crossed as well. Steve Bruce goes into this game with the wrong mindset as well. But yeah, I'm going for the same result, but other way around. We very rarely lose to sides outside the top 6 at home. Admittedly, it's happened a lot more this season than it has done in previous seasons. Southampton beat us at the Turf where we're absolutely terrible, and there's been other ones as well. But yeah, honestly, if someone could offer me a draw now because of the position that we're in compared to you, to keep you 4 points or whatever it is that you're away from us, and to get another point on Fulham, so to take it to 8 points for Fulham, which is the important marker, then yeah, I'd take a point now. But if we play the way that we can play, which again is a similar thing to what you're saying about yourselves, but if we play the way that we can play, then I'm confident that we can get the win.
Yeah, Annie's just mentioned it was a new stand, not a new stadium, and they're awful. Yes, they are. And says that Fulham just need to keep touching Newcastle with 3 or 2 points and take it to the final day. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard. It is going to be very hard with them, but obviously we've got 2 games in hand with them. So if we win them 2 games, that'll pull us right away from them, and then Fulham will have a massive gap to try and close. With the games that they've got, I don't think they're going to do it, but I think I'm with you, Joe. I think the 3 that are in the bottom 3 now, I think they're already gone. I just think it's up to us to try and roll away from it, isn't it?
Fulham have had their chance now. They had the resurgence, and they've had a few games recently that they could have won. And the Villa game probably should have won. It's just better game management. Like Burnley wouldn't have lost that game. I'm saying that after we just thrown away a 2-goal lead at Southampton. I realised how stupid that sounded immediately after I'd said it. But Burnley normally don't lose them sort of games. Burnley have got good game management, and Fulham were just lacking that game management against Villa. Last night though against Wolves, they just didn't really, they just never seemed to get out of second gear. They didn't really look like they're in a battle. They didn't really look like they had a bit of urgency, like we needed to win this match to get above Newcastle. So I'm looking at Fulham and I'm thinking, they're not even playing well. They're not winning games. They're just losing. They're not playing well. I don't understand how they're going to get the 7 points required on us because of the goal difference to catch us. And again, if you win tomorrow, then you're going to be, however so many points away from them, and I can't see them getting that either. There you go. So, you're 3 points away from them now. So you'll go 6 points away from them. I can't see them turning that round. No, I really can't. Obviously they can do it because they're playing us and you. So theoretically, yes, they can. But say, for example, if you go to Turf Moor tomorrow and you play free-flowing attacking football that all your fans want to see, and then you end up beating us, your tails are going to be up. So when you play Fulham on the final day of the season, you can just point to that Burnley game and say, look, Burnley are a better side than Fulham. You did that to Burnley. You can go and do it to Fulham now. But again, I think if you win tomorrow, it doesn't go down to the final day of the season. But it might go down to the final day of the season with us if you win tomorrow. But even if we get beat tomorrow, don't get me wrong, I'll obviously be panicking and be a little bit naffed off. But it'll still be 7 points. Like last night's result was massive for both of us. It'll still be 7 points regardless of the result tomorrow. So I just can't see him catching us. And I know, again, I'm putting myself at the mercy of YouTube editors and stuff here, but I will be very surprised if Fulham turn this around from where they are now.
Yeah, obviously Burnley have got to play Fulham as well, so you've got that game to try and close some more points on them, haven't you? So, which is good to see. I just want to say thanks everyone for watching. All Joe's details is down below in the description. He is on Spotify as well. Give him a listen. It is quite good. I've listened to a couple of the podcasts now, which is really, really good. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and like the video if we have enjoyed watching it. Thank you for all the comments as well. Joe, are you still sticking to a Burnley win, or are you going to give in and say Newcastle's going to beat you?
No, I'm not. No, confident of a win, mate. Confident of a win. Fingers crossed, anyway.
No problem at all. I am going to be speaking to a Burnley fan tomorrow as a reaction sort of video. I think Lewis. Do you know who Lewis is?
Lewis Porter, is it?
That's the one.
I think I know. Yeah. I just know. I've never met him. I just know him through. He comments on a lot of the videos and stuff, and he follows the podcast. And he kept messaging the page for advice and stuff. We were like the first sort of like Burnley page to do this on YouTube. There's other Burnley podcasts and other Burnley pages, but the Burnley pages just tend to be stuff on Facebook and Twitter where all they'll do is put links out and screenshots of tweets and like a fist emoji, an explosion emoji. Whereas we were like, we want to take it to the next level and do some actual live content and stuff. Bit busy this weekend, so I'm not able to do my own sort of like match pre-game show, which I normally do. But we will be doing a watch along. But yeah, we were the first to do it. But the likes of Lewis and another page now called Cricket Field End, they've been messaging us to sort of like get advice and stuff on how to do things. So it's good to see that we're getting some more Burnley content out there from doing what we're doing. And when in a few years, if I'm too busy to do it anymore because life could sometimes get in the way, then we've created this sort of like legacy of Burnley pages wanting to do that. So yeah, Lewis is a young lad. I think he's 15, 16, 17. I'm not sure on his exact age, but. He's a good lad, and I do know him, but I've never met him. So fingers crossed, he's good for you on your page.
I hope he is too. Joe, thank you very much. I'm just going to end the video now, but do stay on. I just want to chat to you about something, okay?
Yeah, no worries, mate.
Right. Thanks everyone for watching. I will see you on the next video. All links is in the description below. Thanks very much.